Sean, good morning.
Morning.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
You got it, man. I always wondered about your persona. Did you make an effort to be heard, to be seen, to gain attention, or was that always just who your personality was even growing up?
No, I mean, I realized at 12 years old when my coaches and teammates told me I was too small, that if they left the rink wanting to kill me, that probably meant they weren't thinking that I was too small anymore. And certainly when I got to the NHL, that chip on my shoulder had been growing, and it was something that was inside of me, and it was part of my game. And I saw that it also worked at that level, and I love doing it too. You know, I don't think you can't be a pest and an agitator without loving it. And I tried to always bring it every single night and make sure I was the one person that people left the rink talking about.
So you say it worked at that level. So it sounds like that was strategy to you, but was it also just internal? In other words, when you're at a house party, when you're at a bar, when you're anywhere else, are you also getting in people's faces and ruffling feathers? Or was that mostly strategy for a career?
No, the beautiful thing about sports is you're handed a jersey and you're allowed to do things that you're not allowed to do in your regular life. And if you do them well, generally you're promoted. And in my case, doing things well meant being bad. So I got to work, and I got to be bad. And if I was bad, I got promoted. So when I leave the rink, no, it's not the person that I am, because you can't. That's the beautiful thing. You get to turn it on and off, and it's this like creative outlet. And I think that's an angle that people don't look at sports. They think that the real life and the sport and the athlete are two of the same things, and they're not. They're much different.
So there's a little bit of Batman and Bruce Wayne to you.
Definitely. In every athlete, there is. No question.
Sean Avery joins us here on the show. You've said some pretty mean things to people, specifically on the ice with opponents, and in this book, you don't pull any punches either. Do you ever say anything and then regret it, or everything that comes out of your mouth, you just say, to hell with it, I don't care if people like it or not, I'm never going to regret what I say?
Well, I definitely regret things. I don't take things back because that's impossible. I just live in a realistic world that I can't take things back, but I regret things that I say. And if I think that I've crossed the line, I try and make sure that I don't ever say that type of thing again. And that's all you can expect from somebody, is to try and learn from their mistakes and make sure that they're doing better every time they get out there.
What's the biggest regret in something that your mouth said that you regretted afterwards?
Oh my God, there's so many.
What's one that jumps to your mind that you feel like, boy, I wish I didn't say that?
I mean, obviously, that's the thing. I can't say I wish. I can't say necessarily that I wish I didn't say it. I can regret that I said it, and I know that those are somewhat similar. But I said it, and then something happened to me. Like there was the sloppy seconds comment. I said that, and now from that day on, I've reflected on that, and I've realized hundreds of times since then that that's not something that you can say, and more about the idea of what that represents, and men versus women, and how men are supposed to protect women. So there's so many things that I've said that I've wished I could, not necessarily wish, but I've made sure moving forward that that's not going to happen again, because that's not something that I believe in.
Sean Avery joins us here on the show. He's got a new book called Ice Capades, My Life Crossing the Line. Now, that comment you're talking about is from Alicia Cuthbert, somebody that you had previously dated. She went out with Dion Phaneuf afterwards, and then you kind of said that about your relationship in the NHL and things like that. And I wonder, when it comes to hockey players, as you said, a third-line guy, nobody's ever been more notorious than you, more famous than you at your level of expertise and success in the NHL. Do you ever have to pump yourself up because you squired models and actresses? Do you ever have to pump yourself up and go, man, I'm more famous than just a third-line guy in the NHL to go up and hit on Alicia Cuthbert? What is the key there for a guy that probably most people in a sports bar, if they're not a big-time hockey fan, wouldn't necessarily recognize you?
Well, you as a man, you just have to have confidence, and you have to, it helps if you love your job and you feel good about yourself and you take care of yourself, and if you're a good person, that should be enough. It's not about money. It's not about fame. It's more about, whether you're a good guy and whether, you think the person that you're going up to speak to is also a good person and they respect that.
So this is really interesting. You describe yourself as a good person. Do you think most people in the NHL would describe you as a good guy?
Probably not, but I'm not sure that most people. I have a few friends still in hockey. Yeah, I never got that close to too many people.
So that's what's really interesting here. Do you think of yourself as a good guy and think that everybody else that thinks you're a bad guy has it wrong?
I'm not really. I think one thing's for sure. I'm not really too concerned about what people think about me.
That's true, even though you do have regrets. So there's a duality there for you.
Well, you have regret. I have regret on a personal level, as far as how I measure myself as a man. But I could care less what people think about me.
Do you ever worry when you probably don't ever worry about much, but did you ever worry when you go up and you try to hit on an actress or a model and they Wikipedia you and all this bad stuff comes up and you're like, oh, I'm screwed?
No.
It never hurt you?
Never hurt me.
That's kind of surprising. Your game must be amazing, because if that never hurt you, you could Google Sean Avery and come up with like 13 things that most girls would be like, no.
Yeah, no, I always, I love the art of conversation. I was always pretty good at it.
You had quite the conversations with John Tortorella, and we know how your Rangers career ended. In this book, you certainly didn't mince words about your former coach. How do you feel about him?
It's pretty obvious. How do I feel about Tortorella? I don't know. I'm disappointed. When I think about when his name comes up, the word disappointment is the word that sticks with me.
Because you thought he should see your value and not try to kind of quash that?
No, not at all. Just I felt like he didn't protect some of the players in the locker room. Nothing to do with me.
So you're more frustrated and disappointed about how he treated other players, not you?
Yeah, one player in particular.
Would you care to expound for our audience?
Well, you got to buy the book. It's a Derek Bugard story. It's a well-known story, and I kind of delve into it and really lay out the events that happened after his death. He was a good teammate of ours, and the guys loved him, and it was a tough situation for everybody, and Tortorella had a front seat to it.
Coaches often tell players, especially in hockey, do your job. It's about the team. It's not about the individual. There's a lot of people around hockey that saw Tortorella and said, you keep making it about you. Did you find it to be a hypocrite in that way?
I've never even given him that much thought. People talk out of the side of their mouth when they say it's about the team, but then we have superstars, and it's ultimately an individual position. So that's a little confusing. I think that's one of those sports terms that gets thrown out there too much.
Taking your shots at Mike Modano, it continues in the book as well. What happens if you and Modano cross paths at some type of NHL alumni event?
We go to the other side of the room, and I don't go to NHL alumni events. Because
you're not invited, or because you wouldn't go if you were invited?
Well, I pay my dues, so I'm definitely invited. I don't go.
What's your relationship with Gary Bettman?
Non-existent.
Did he want you out of the league?
I'm sure he didn't love having me around, but I've never had that conversation with him specifically. I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he could have had a league without Sean Avery.
He would have loved a league without Sean Avery. So would Marty Brodeur. He would have loved a league without Sean Avery. So our producer, Sean Mraz, considers you one of his favorite players of all time. And I'm going to give Mraz the floor here to tell you why he owns 3 Sean Avery jerseys. Mraz, take it away.
He refueled the Ranger Devil rivalry of Martin Brodeur. So, Sean, I appreciate all that. There was nothing better for me as a teenager into my early 20s than going to the Garden and chanting Avery, Avery, Avery. And I have great family memories and friend memories because of you, and I appreciate that.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, man.
So even though Gary Bettman and Mike Badano hate you, our producer does not.
Great. That's who I played for.
All right, so what's post-playing life like? You always kind of seem to have your hand in a lot of business endeavors. What's it like right now?
I'm going to Atlanta in a few weeks to shoot the new Peter Berg movie with Mark Wahlberg. I'm going to write another book. You know, wherever the wind takes me, I'm there.
So my final question is about a memoir or an anecdote in this book where you accidentally gave Brett Hull pot cookies.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. My friends did.
How did Brett Hull handle that?
He was fine.
Oh.
Brett Hull's a legend. Nothing gets him too worked up.
Chocolate chip cookies? Peanut butter?
I think there was some chocolate chip, maybe a little chocolate chip oatmeal.
The book is Ice Capades, My Life Crossing the Line by Sean Avery. Check it out everywhere books are sold. Sean, this was a lot of fun, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Sean Avery joining us here on the show.